Good morning, guys. It's Nick and Optima PS. I hope you're all well. Thank you for coming back to my channel. I wanted to talk to you guys this morning because there's an awful lot of FUD out there in the world, and I've just been on a big long conversation about this myself and sort of planted a few seeds of thought in my mind that I wanted to share with you. Now, today's video is going to be more about me thinking out loud as this goes along. So I'm really not quite sure what's going to come out here either. There's no script, this isn't rehearsed or anything like that. It's just me thinking out loud, which my videos normally are, to be perfectly honest. But just this conversation I had with a friend this morning sort of got me on this line of thought, and I just thought I'd sit here and get my thoughts out, and we'll see how this goes and see if you guys agree with the ponderings that come out of my mind. So before we start today, just my normal disclaimer: I am a financial advisor, but I'm not your financial advisor. I am most likely not even a regulated advisor in whatever jurisdiction you may be in. So anything I say or do today shouldn't be considered financial advice, regardless of my status as an advisor in the world, because I don't know you. We haven't discussed anything. I've never done any kind of a questionnaire to find out any details about you. And trust me, before I ever give anyone financial advice, you are made 100% aware you need to sign documents and signature boxes and things. You would be 100% aware I was giving financial advice. So until that day comes, anything I say or do in this video is just a guy sharing his opinion on the internet. And I hope you take some value out of what I say, but it's absolutely not financial advice. So where I stand today, and you know, the title of this video is something along the lines of what if it all goes right for Ripple and XRP, because I see and read an awful lot of FUD out there in the world right now. As you can imagine, my ex Twitter feed is full of people like us who are very interested in the cryptocurrency sector, whose main interest in being in the online social media place is to find like-minded people with similar thoughts. And I like all the research guys that go out and find out all the good things, but I'm naturally connected to a lot of people who have an interest, normally a financial interest in the cryptocurrency sector. And I'm seeing a lot of negativity out there. One of the big developers pulled off the XRPL, and this seems to have, they came out and said it's because they believe that the people running Ripple are mistreating the platform, if you like, are selling XRP for their own benefit, which I disagree with, by the way. I think with all these things, any company in the world, if this were a traditional security, which I know it's not, but if it were, and there were an IPO designed to raise finance for the benefit of that company, and that IPO released $1 billion worth of shares, the company would be expected to use that money to reinvest into the infrastructure of the company. And the expectation there is based upon the fact that us common people of the world understand that if that company invests that money into their own company and improves the position the company is in, improves the infrastructure, hires the best staff, goes out and buys one or two competitors or one or two companies that will help them achieve their goals, then this is all for the greater good. And that's the way all business works, right? 99.99% of the time, but perhaps with the exclusion of the dot-com bubble that we had back in at the turn of 2000s, the reason people or companies will float themselves in a market is to raise finance to invest into the company. That's how these things work. And no one has a problem with that. So I don't have any problem whatsoever with Ripple selling their XRP, as long as the proceeds of those sales are re-injected back into Ripple, which will improve and boost the performance of Ripple, the company, because I believe that the performance and the value of XRP is intrinsically linked to the value of Ripple. If we have a successful, all world conquering, global domineering Ripple that take over and dominate the sector they intend to dominate, be that cross-border transactions, be that acting as a reserve bridge currency, be that, the digitization of major transfers and financial networks around the world, be that the tokenization of commodities, whatever it is that Ripple decide to turn their hand to, if the sale of these XRP in the short term boosts their ability to achieve that goal in the long term, then I'm all in favor of it. Again, I sympathise with those of you who bought XRP and needed a quick turnaround. I never buy an investment that I think I need to make a quick buck on. I have bought a few memes and shitcoins in the coming months into this bull run, and I do expect to make a quick buck on those. But I don't need to make a quick buck on them. I don't need if something happens to the crypto industry now, if the SEC goes after every single proof of stake coin as they look like they might intend to do, and the whole market suffers another 5-year bear market, I'm okay. I don't need the money out. I do sympathise with those of you who do need the money out. I definitely want the money out. Don't misunderstand my agenda. I want the money out. I want to make profits as soon as humanly possible. But I don't need it. So I'm not sat here in a position where I'm desperately hoping and praying that any coin will go up in value over the next few days, or next few weeks, next few months, next year, next 2 years, whatever that time scale might be. I'm okay if it doesn't, although I'd like it to. So I do sympathise with those of you who perhaps bought the coin for a different reason. But in the same respect, anything that they do with the sale of those XRP that boosts the overall performance and position of Ripple, I think is eventually going to lead to the greater valuation of XRP, and is a good thing. I mean, you can see here from the site I have on, this is the 3XRP page. XRP is very much alive and well. The price has dipped today. It's gone down a little bit, but these transactions are going through on a very, very, very regular basis. The last 5 minutes, 5.8 million XRPs worth of trades, give or take. They're going through. They never stop going through. Here you can see every transaction. The world is moving on despite the FUD. People are still trading. Maybe this is people selling XRP. To be perfectly honest, it could be that. But whatever is happening in the world, this is still working. But what crossed my mind today was, and don't get me wrong, I'm not in any way or form going to speak in favour of the SEC here. I don't think this is something they've done deliberately. I'm not allowed really to come out and openly throw accusations at the SEC or any other organisation. It's not really my style. But I'm not, I'm not going to come out and openly say I think they're all corrupt and awful and this, that, and the other. I maybe do. I won't share that thought with you too openly. But certainly there's been an agenda at the SEC. No two ways about it. Whether it's the right one or the wrong one, whether it's for the good of the people they're supposed to represent or not. I think the outcome is definitely they haven't represented us very well. I think the outcome is that they haven't done the best by the people. But I don't need to come out and say they've done it on purpose. Maybe they're just incredibly inept at their jobs. Maybe they're very, very good at their jobs and they have done this on purpose. I don't know what their agenda is or has been. But, certainly at the moment, the scope is being turned towards the proof of stake coins, especially what's just happened with Coinbase. I think this is going to open a huge can of worms, which will bring a lot of uncertainty over the next few years. I'm certain it's not coincidental that this has happened just before a big bull run. But their sights have been set on the proof of stake coins. I think because they know the XRP thing, the Ripple thing is coming to an end. I think because they are very well aware that there's no going back now. XRP in and of itself is not a security and never will be. I don't think they could ever turn that around. The initial sales, I think that's what they're trying to gain a quick buck out of. Coming in for $2 billion is ridiculous. But in the same respect, I don't think they ever expected to get $2 billion. I think they'd settle for an awful lot less than that. But they want a big payout. And, perhaps they're correct. Perhaps there is a slap on the wrist needed for these companies. There's a certainty that the end result of those initial sales of coins, whichever sort of project we look at, when they sell initial coins and make money from that does work in a similar way to an IPO. It raises finance for the company to then go and use for the company. So, it's not a security. It's been proven in the court of law with XRP only, but I think many more will be proven in the same way. They're not securities, but in the same respect, they acted a bit like, because they raised finance for the benefit of the parent company. And so I think there is a point where some regulator, I don't know which one, whoever is determined has jurisdiction, needs to say, listen, if you're going to be selling these coins for the benefit of your company in the early days, there needs to be a level of awareness around the people that are buying them. I think rules and regulations will come in. I think that's only going to be a good thing in the long term. But where they're turning their sights now is towards the proof of stake coins. For those of you not familiar, we'll take a look. This is just CoinDesk showing the top proof of stake coins, but you've got Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, Avalanche. Ton is one I'm not overly familiar with. I don't know the project overly well. I'm sure many of you will. But you've got Tron, Polkadot, Polygon, Cosmos. HBAR is one. There's coins I own here. HBAR, Algorand, Matic I've got a tiny bit of. Avalanche I used to hold but don't anymore. Solana I actually didn't bother getting back into this time. I really wish I did now, but I didn't. Cardano I still hold a little bit of. Ethereum I hold a little bit of. I have a little bit of most of these coins, but not to the point that I'm going to be overly bothered if anything terrible happened to them. That's investment. I don't think any of them will. These top 20 will disappear, but I think some might see a hindrance to their coin price over the coming years if the SEC are going to go and attack them. Oasis is one I own purely because I like Oasis to ban. I would love to tell you I did all my due diligence and things. I didn't. I threw $500 at it because I liked the name. I don't know anything about it still. I don't care. That's one I bought with the beginning of this bull run, and I fully expect to sell. I think I'm about 30-40% up on that, and I fully expect to sell it at the point in time that I decide is the top of this market. And I don't know, maybe I'll go out and I'll buy some Oasis memorabilia with it or something like that. It's a band I like, so that's the only reason I went for it. But that isn't how I give financial advice, by the way. That's not the way I would tell anyone to conduct their investments. But that one in particular was a throwaway gamble, and it was a bit of fun. Algorand I've been strategically buying since it came and fell from grace a few years back, because the price is so damn low compared to where I think it ought to be. It's a bargain right now, but I fully expect to sell this. It's not one I want to keep for the long term. It's one I'm going to sell in the not so distant future. But HBAR is the other way. HBAR I buy because I expect to hold it long term. So a lot of these ones are under the scope of the SEC right now. I don't think they're necessarily going to all find themselves being attacked by the SEC, but definitely their eye has turned this way. And I just wonder to myself if perhaps this is going to work out to the benefit of XRP and Ripple. And I know there's so much negative sentiment out there in the marketplace right now, in the community right now. There's so many people who are feeling the negativity. And I wonder if something's going to turn around and shock us. I mean, no two ways about it. Things are coming to a head now with the SEC and Ripple and XRP. There is going to be an outcome very soon. Yes, there could be a point that Ripple refused to even acknowledge a fine the size that the SEC are trying to impose, and the SEC won't entertain the thought of any reduction, and then we get a whole drawn out legal matter again for another 18 months where they fight their corners, and the judge will eventually decide how much somebody pays. I doubt it. I think what we will see very soon from now is some kind of agreement. Ripple have to pay a fine. No two ways about it. They have to pay one. And the SEC want to impose one. There's a big disparity between the value of that fine, but eventually that's what the judge is for. This is mediation now. There's going to be a point where that fine is determined and it's paid. From that point onwards, I think the matter will be very quickly put to bed. And then I think we will all get to see exactly what Ripple has been doing over these years with the proceeds of those coin sales that we can argue have hindered the price of XRP. I don't really think so, to be honest. I think there's too many arguments when you take a look at other charts that have worked incredibly similar that have zero to do with Ripple. You could argue that the Bitcoin chart, okay, it's a more exaggerated profit and loss. When it goes up, Bitcoin goes up by more. When it goes down, it doesn't necessarily go down by a lot more. But there's still similarities. There's similarities between every crypto. If you look at the charts, even here we can see all these charts. They're not identical, but there's similarities. They all start higher here over the last couple of days. They come down. There was a bit of a spike, and they carry on. Are you telling me that Ripple impacts the price of all these coins? Because the Ripple chart's done exactly the same thing. This is a 24-hour change, but if we extended it out to 6 months, you'd get similar. Some of the lower value coins have had a bit more of a better run. than some of the higher ones. Some of the some of the other coins, the meme coins out there, have done ridiculously better than everything. I've just seen now they are. Atom's just popped up a little bit. That's the only green one in a sea of red. So they don't mirror each other perfectly, but they reflect each other. We can all see that here. And it's the same with XRP. You look at the XRP chart and it still mirrors the greater market. So I don't buy into the concept that Ripple are completely manipulating that. There may be times where they've sold at an inconvenient time for us who were hoping on an increased value, but me personally, I'm the other way. Every time the price goes down, I buy a bit more, and I'm still absolutely confident that that's going to be life-changing wealth to me at some point in the future. So I'm happy when the price goes down. Sorry if that doesn't work with everyone else's game plan, but that's what investment is, right? Every time I buy, it's because someone else sold. And if I think I get a great deal, that means they didn't. But hey, they might think they got a great deal, and that therefore means I didn't, right? So one of us is right and wrong. There's always a winner and a loser when any financial transaction takes place. Same way as if you go to the store and buy a Mars bar, right? You buy a Mars bar because you think it's worth the money you pay. The shopkeeper sells the Mars bar because he thinks it's worth the money he makes. Hopefully, it's a situation where everyone's happy, but not always. Sometimes you buy at a great low value, you think you've got the deal of the century, and that means some poor soul had to sell. So that's the way finance works. So I don't have a problem with what Ripple do. I do generally believe it's all for the greater good in the long run, but what if this all materializes much sooner? So this was the point I wanted to get to today. It's just something that popped into my head in an open conversation with a friend. I've given it no more research, so no financial advice involved at all, just me thinking out loud, really. But what if everything does come to a resolution with Ripple and the and the SEC, and we do finally find this freedom for XRP, and it does mean that Ripple are, de-handcuffed, if you like. The shackles are released and they're able to proceed with everything they've been laying the foundations for these last 10 years. And the banks are therefore, the big banks, the big institutions that they have these agreements in place with, are therefore happy to roll out and get moving with these relationships. And what if we see that right at that moment, the SEC inadvertently begins attacking, or maybe completely deliberately begins attacking these other proof of stake coins, and a whole bunch of money comes flooding out of those ones and flooding into XRP as the only one with legal clarity, and the only one which absolutely definitely will no longer be attacked by the SEC because they've already been attacked by the SEC. What if that situation happens? And I don't profess to have done anything like enough research on this to know, but as a gambling man, I think that's one possible outcome. Again, I'm not desperately tied into the end result here like some people might be. So if I'm wrong on that, and I'm not even sure if that's the way I think it's likely to happen, but if I did think that were likely to happen and I were wrong, well, that doesn't mean XRP is dead. It just means that it might take longer for XRP and Ripple to achieve their goals. But if I'm right, that could be the big boom that all those XRP holders have been waiting for. So I'm not out here to push opium, but it's a concept I haven't heard many people talking about in the marketplace right now, in the community right now, whatever you want to look at it, however you want to call it. And I just thought maybe people need to take a step back like I did and think, well, negativity isn't the only outcome here. A negative outcome is, at best case, in my opinion, a 50-50 with a positive one. I actually think it's far better odds than that towards a positive outcome, because the greater scheme of things, XRP's position is taken care of. All that's left now is will the SEC try to impose a fine that's far too big to be reasonable, and Ripple refuse to pay, and it all drags on as they fight each other about what they ought to pay. But realistically speaking, I suspect it will be a number that Ripple will accept. And then I think you might see the shackles release. And even if we don't see that instant boom to the XRP price, I think we'll instantly see a lot more confidence in the market. People, and more importantly, institutions, turning their attention to XRP and to the Ripple network as being a very, very viable place to be. And I think the end result of that is a increase in price. I'm not going to say we're going to do 50,000% in a month like it's happened before. I don't think that's realistic. but we might see a huge jump up, 5x. We might see a leveling off. We might see another huge jump up over the next 24 months. And I think we could easily be looking at a $5 to $10 XRP, even if things don't go our way. If things do go our way, it could be sensationally bigger than that. It might not be. I'd be okay with a $3 XRP. I know some of you might not. I wouldn't sell out at a $3 XRP. Yeah, it's not my end game. It's not my goal. But a $3 XRP, to me, means my average buying is about 48 cents now. If the price then fell by 80%, we're still looking at a 60-cent XRP, and I'm above my initial average buy-in. So that's still profit to me. So the longer you hold any investment in the world, the more leeway you get when these market crashes come. I've been buying the S&P 500 for about 15 years now. Trust me, it does not bother me one little bit when the S&P 500 drops 25% in a terrible year. I'm still way up in the long run. That's how dollar cost averaging over a long period of time works. And it will work exactly the same with all these coins. It just depends where you are in the cycle and if you've done it responsibly enough that you can afford the down years, which is something that not everyone has done. So I do sympathize. I think all of you will see your day. I think you will all see a time in the coming 18 months where you can get out at profit, because I think we will go back to all-time high and above. But I think there is a chance that we're all sat there with very doom and gloom tinted spectacles right now, because there's a lot of negative sentiment out there, and we're not considering the fact that actually there's an awful lot to be positive about. I'm incredibly positive. Again, I don't have the same pressure on my position as other people might have, so I do sympathize, but I'm incredibly positive over the next 10 years. But I'm really positive over the next 2, and I actually think that the more I think this through, the more I think I might be onto something. I think the stars could align here, and just as we're entering what should be a bull run, it's too early for the SEC to negatively impact the value of these coins. They'd have to launch out hundreds of lawsuits overnight. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they've bitten off more they could chew already with Ripple, so I think they'll be very precarious about who they attack and why. But I think realistically the market will go up and up from here because of the bull run, and I think the stars could just align for XRP, and Ripple could make some major announcements once this court case is done and dusted once and for all, that will add steroids to whatever bull run we were hoping to see. So I don't want to keep talking. I'm conscious of keeping these videos to about 20 minutes if I can help it, because I know that's when my attention span dies off. But I just wanted to share that thought with you all. I just thought it's something that would be hopefully an alternative thought process right now, that might help inject a little bit more positivity, a little bit more confidence in this current position we're in, because I don't think the position we're in warrants the negativity that I'm seeing out there in the space. But anyway, that's me for today. If you like what I have to say, then as I've said a few times before now, I'd be really grateful if you could please like and subscribe to the channel. The algorithms that YouTube offer, they work really well in that case. So it will help me to grow the channel, which will help me to know that people actually enjoy what I have to say. I'm not 100% sure of that right now. So if you could drop me any comments in the comment box, like and subscribe, that would be incredibly well received from my side. I'd be eternally grateful. And I thank you all very much for giving me the time to hear me out. As I say, if there's anything you want from me, drop me a comment in the comment box. I'd love to respond back to you. In the meantime, thanks very much for your time. Have a great day. We'll speak again soon. All the best, Nick.